Your brain isn't resting while you sleep. It's performing critical maintenance and upgrades that keep you alive. And if you skip sleep, your brain literally starts poisoning itself. Most people think sleep is just your body and brain shutting down for the night. Like your brain clocks out and takes a break until morning. But that's completely wrong. While you're unconscious, your brain is actually working harder than it does during parts of the day. It's cleaning itself, organizing memories, solving problems, and doing maintenance work that it can't do while you're awake. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening inside your head while you're sleeping, and why skipping sleep is way more dangerous than you think. Here's what most people don't realize about sleep. We spend about a third of our lives doing it, but almost nobody understands why. And because we don't understand it, we treat it like it's optional. We stay up late scrolling through our phones. We pull all-nighters to study or work. We brag about how little sleep we need. But here's the problem with that. Your brain needs sleep the same way your body needs food and water. It's not a luxury or a waste of time. It's a biological necessity. And when you don't get enough sleep, your brain can't perform the critical maintenance tasks it needs to do. Think of it like owning a car. You can drive your car every day without changing the oil or doing maintenance, and it'll work fine for a while. But eventually, all that wear and tear catches up. The engine starts breaking down, parts stop working properly, and one day, the whole thing fails. That's what happens to your brain when you don't sleep enough. Except unlike a car, you can't just buy a new brain when yours breaks down. The scary part is that you don't feel the damage happening in real time. You might feel tired or groggy, but you don't feel your brain cells filling up with toxic waste or your memories failing to get properly stored. The damage is invisible until it becomes serious, and our modern world makes this problem worse. We have artificial light that tricks our brains into thinking it's still daytime. We have screens that blast blue light into our eyes right before bed. We have caffeine that blocks the signals telling us we're tired. We've basically created an environment that's designed to mess up our sleep. So we end up with this situation where millions of people are walking around sleep deprived, and they have no idea what's really happening inside their heads while they should be sleeping. Let me break down exactly what your brain does during sleep by introducing you to 3 different roles your brain plays every night. Think of your brain as having 3 different jobs while you're unconscious, and each one is absolutely critical to keeping you healthy and functional. Job number 1, the janitor, your brain's cleaning crew. The first job your brain does while you sleep is probably the most important, and it's something scientists only discovered recently. Your brain has its own waste disposal system, and it only works while you're sleeping. Here's the problem your brain faces. During the day, while you're awake and thinking and moving around, your brain cells are constantly working. And just like any engine that's running, they produce waste products. These are toxic proteins and other junk that builds up in the spaces between your brain cells. During the day, this stuff just accumulates. Your brain is too busy keeping you alive and functioning to deal with cleaning it up. It's like a restaurant during dinner rush. The kitchen gets messy, plates pile up, but the staff is too busy cooking and serving to stop and clean. But here's where it gets interesting. While you sleep, your brain cells actually shrink. Not by a lot, but by about 60%. This creates more space between the cells, kind of like the walls of your brain spreading apart slightly. Then your brain pumps cerebrospinal fluid through these expanded spaces. This fluid washes through your brain like a cleaning solution, picking up all the toxic waste that built up during the day. Scientists call this the glymphatic system, and it's basically your brain's janitorial crew working the night shift. This waste fluid then drains out of your brain and gets processed by your liver and kidneys, just like other waste products in your body. By morning, your brain is clean and ready to start accumulating junk all over again. Now here's why this matters so much. One of the waste products your brain cleans out during sleep is a protein called beta amyloid. This protein is directly linked to Alzheimer's disease. When beta amyloid builds up in your brain over years and years, it forms plaques that damage brain cells and cause memory loss and cognitive decline. People who consistently don't get enough sleep have higher levels of beta amyloid in their brains. They're literally not giving their brains enough time to take out the trash. And over decades, that trash piles up and causes serious damage. There was a study that followed thousands of people for years, and they found that people who regularly slept less than 6 hours per night had significantly higher rates of dementia later in life. The connection between sleep and brain health isn't just about feeling rested, it's about preventing your brain from slowly poisoning itself. And it's not just Alzheimer's. Poor sleep has been linked to increased risk of depression, anxiety, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and even cancer. When your brain can't clean itself properly, the effects ripple out to every system in your body. This is why pulling all-nighters is so dangerous. You're not just making yourself tired, you're skipping a critical maintenance cycle that your brain desperately needs. One night of missed sleep means one night of accumulated brain toxins that didn't get cleaned out. Job number 2, the librarian sorting and filing memories. The second job your brain does while you sleep is decide what to remember and what to forget. Your brain is basically a librarian that spends all night organizing information and deciding what goes in long-term storage and what gets thrown away. During the day, you're constantly taking in information. You see things, hear things, learn things, experience things. Your brain temporarily stores all of this in what's called short-term memory or working memory, but your short-term memory has limited space. It can only hold so much. If your brain tried to permanently store every single thing you experience during the day, you'd run out of storage space fast. Most of what happens during your day isn't important enough to remember long-term. You don't need to remember what the seventh person you saw today was wearing, or exactly what you ate for lunch 3 Tuesdays ago. So while you sleep, your brain reviews everything that happened during the day and decides what's worth keeping. Important information gets moved from short-term memory into long-term storage. Unimportant information gets deleted to free up space for tomorrow. This process is why studying right before bed actually works. When you learn something and then sleep on it, your brain is more likely to file that information into long-term memory. But if you learn something and then stay awake for hours, your brain has to process a bunch of other information too, and that important stuff you studied might get crowded out or forgotten. There have been some really interesting studies on this. In one experiment, researchers had people learn a complicated task, then split them into 2 groups. One group took a nap, the other stayed awake. When they tested both groups later, the people who napped performed significantly better. Their brains had time to process and consolidate what they learned. Another study taught people sequences of finger movements, like learning to play a piano melody. After a night of sleep, people could perform the sequence faster and more accurately, even though they hadn't practiced at all. Their brains literally improved their motor skills while they were unconscious. This memory consolidation happens during specific stages of sleep. During deep sleep, your brain replays the day's experiences in fast forward, like reviewing security camera footage at high speed. These replays help strengthen the neural connections that form memories. During REM sleep, which is when you dream most vividly, your brain makes connections between new information and things you already know. This is when creative insights can happen. You might go to bed stuck on a problem and wake up with the solution because your sleeping brain made connections that your awake brain couldn't see. This is also why sleep deprivation destroys your ability to learn and remember things. Students who pull all-nighters before exams are shooting themselves in the foot. They might be able to cram more information in the short term, but without sleep, their brains can't move that information into long-term storage. They'll forget most of it within days. And it's not just about school. Your brain forms new memories every single day. Memories of conversations, experiences, skills you're developing, things you're learning about yourself and the world. When you don't sleep enough, you're not just tired. You're literally preventing your brain from properly recording your life. People who are chronically sleep deprived often report feeling like their life is passing by in a blur, like they can't remember what they did last week or last month. That's because their brains never had proper time to file those memories. The experiences happened, but they were never moved into long-term storage. Job number 3, the dream director. Why your brain creates bizarre movies. The third job your brain does during sleep is create dreams. And this is probably the weirdest and most mysterious part of sleep. Nobody fully understands why we dream, but we know it's important because every mammal does it. And if you prevent someone from dreaming, it causes serious psychological problems. Dreams mostly happen during REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement. During REM sleep, your brain is incredibly active. In some ways, it's more active than when you're awake. Your eyes move rapidly under your eyelids, hence the name. But your body is paralyzed, which is a good thing because otherwise you'd be physically acting out your dreams. So what's actually happening when you dream? There are several theories, and the truth is probably some combination of all of them. One theory is that dreams are your brain's way of processing emotions. During the day, you experience all kinds of emotional situations: stress at work, anxiety about something coming up, excitement about good news, frustration with people. Your brain needs to process these emotions, and dreams might be the way it does that. This would explain why dreams are often emotionally intense even when they don't make logical sense. You might dream about showing up to school naked, which has never happened and probably never will happen. But the dream captures the feeling of vulnerability and embarrassment that you might have felt about something else during the day. Studies have shown that people who are dealing with emotional trauma often dream about the traumatic event, but in modified or symbolic forms. It's like their brain is trying to work through the emotions in a safe environment where it can experiment with different responses and outcomes. Another theory is that dreams are your brain testing and strengthening neural connections. Your brain is constantly predicting what might happen in the future based on past experiences. Dreams might be your brain running simulations, creating scenarios and seeing how you respond to them. This would explain why dreams are often so bizarre and nonsensical. Your brain isn't trying to create a coherent story, it's throwing random situations at you to see how your neural networks respond. It's like a training simulation where anything can happen. There's also evidence that dreams help with problem solving and creativity. Your waking brain is logical and analytical, which is great for most tasks, but can sometimes get in the way of creative thinking. You get stuck in certain patterns of thought and can't see alternatives. But your dreaming brain doesn't follow logical rules. It makes random associations, combines unrelated ideas, and comes up with solutions that your conscious mind would never consider. This is why people sometimes wake up with sudden insights or creative ideas that seem to come from nowhere. Some of the most famous discoveries and inventions reportedly came to people in dreams. The structure of the benzene molecule, the idea for Google's search algorithm, melodies for countless songs, all supposedly inspired by dreams. Whether these stories are literally true or not, they capture something real about how dreams can lead to creative breakthroughs. Then there's the theory that dreams are basically meaningless, just random neural firing that your brain tries to make sense of by creating a narrative. According to this view, dreams don't have any special purpose. They're just a side effect of your brain being active during sleep. But most sleep researchers don't fully buy this theory anymore, because we know that being deprived of REM sleep causes serious problems. If dreams were truly meaningless, it wouldn't matter if you got REM sleep or not. But people who are prevented from dreaming become anxious, have trouble concentrating, and eventually start having waking dreams or hallucinations as their brain desperately tries to catch up on missed REM time. What makes dreams so weird is that your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic and critical thinking, is basically offline during REM sleep. So you can dream that you're flying or that your friend turned into a cat, and it seems completely normal in the moment. Your sleeping brain just accepts whatever happens without questioning it. Only when you wake up does your prefrontal cortex come back online and you think, wait, that made no sense at all. But while you're dreaming, the most absurd scenarios seem perfectly reasonable. Everyone dreams, by the way, even people who claim they never dream. You just might not remember your dreams when you wake up. Memory formation is weird during sleep, and most dreams are forgotten within minutes of waking unless you make a conscious effort to remember them. Here's what changed my entire perspective on sleep, and I think it'll change yours too. Sleep isn't downtime. It's not your brain being lazy or inactive. It's your brain switching from external mode to internal mode. During the day, your brain is focused outward, processing what you see and hear, responding to situations, making decisions, interacting with the world. It's like a computer running a bunch of programs at once, handling input and output. But during sleep, your brain switches to maintenance mode. It stops processing external input and starts processing internal operations. It cleans itself, organizes data, runs diagnostics, and prepares for another day of operation. You wouldn't run your computer 24 hours a day for months without ever restarting it or doing updates. Eventually, it would slow down, glitch out, and crash. Your brain is the same way. It needs that nightly maintenance cycle to function properly. The people who brag about sleeping only 4 or 5 hours a night and claim they're fine, they're not fine. They're operating with a brain that's running on accumulated toxic waste, with poorly consolidated memories and without proper emotional processing. They might feel functional in the short term, but they're causing long-term damage they can't see. And here's the thing that really matters. Sleep is one of the few things in life that's completely within your control. You can't control whether you get sick. You can't control most sources of stress in your life. You can't control your genetics. But you can control whether you get enough sleep. Making sleep a priority isn't lazy or unproductive. It's one of the most productive things you can do because everything else in your life, your health, your memory, your mood, your decision-making, your creativity, all depends on your brain working properly. And your brain can't work properly without enough sleep. Let me summarize what your brain is actually doing while you sleep, because this is important to understand. First, your brain acts as a janitor, washing away toxic waste products that build up during the day. This cleaning process only happens during sleep, and skipping it means letting poison accumulate in your brain. Over years, this contributes to dementia, Alzheimer's, and other cognitive problems. Second, your brain acts as a librarian, sorting through the day's experiences and deciding what to remember and what to forget. It moves important information from short-term to long-term memory, and it strengthens skills you practice during the day. Without enough sleep, memories don't stick and learning doesn't happen properly. Third, your brain acts as a dream director, creating bizarre scenarios that help process emotions, strengthen neural connections, and potentially solve problems in creative ways. Dreams might seem random, but they serve important psychological and cognitive functions. All three of these processes are essential. You can't skip one and be okay. Your brain needs complete sleep cycles, including both deep sleep and REM sleep, to perform all of its maintenance tasks. The recommended amount of sleep for adults is 7 to 9 hours per night. Not 6, not 5, definitely not 4. 7 to 9 actual hours of sleep, not just time in bed. Most people need closer to 8 hours to feel and function their best. And quality matters too. Sleeping 8 hours in a room with lights and noise and interruptions isn't the same as sleeping 8 hours in a dark, quiet, cool room. Your brain needs uninterrupted time to move through all the sleep stages properly. If you're someone who regularly gets less than 7 hours of sleep, you're not just a little tired. You're operating with a brain that hasn't been cleaned, hasn't organized its memories properly, and hasn't processed emotions effectively. You're not performing at your best, even if you've gotten used to feeling this way. The good news is that sleep isn't like exercise or diet where you need to make huge lifestyle changes. Most people just need to prioritize it differently. Go to bed earlier. Put your phone down an hour before sleep. Make your bedroom darker and cooler. Create a routine that signals to your brain that it's time to shut down for maintenance. Your brain is the most complex object in the known universe. It's what makes you you. Your memories, your personality, your abilities, everything. And it needs sleep to function, not as a luxury, not as an optional bonus, but as a fundamental biological requirement. Treating sleep like it's optional is like treating food or water like it's optional. You can skip it for a while, but eventually it catches up with you in serious ways. Understanding what your brain actually does while you sleep should change how you think about those hours. You're not wasting time lying unconscious. You're giving your brain the time it needs to maintain itself, organize information, process experiences, and prepare for another day of keeping you alive and functional. Every night you go to sleep, an incredibly sophisticated biological process kicks into action. Your brain cells shrink to allow cleaning fluid through. Your neurons replay the day's experiences at high speed. Your mind creates elaborate simulations and processes emotions. All of this happens automatically without you thinking about it, as long as you give your brain the time it needs. So the next time you're tempted to stay up late scrolling through social media or binging another show, remember what you're actually giving up. You're not just sacrificing rest. You're skipping the maintenance cycle that keeps your brain healthy, sharp, and functional for decades to come. Subscribe if you want to understand how your body actually works.